Dallas Cowboys select on the first round Marshall Irvin, wide receiver, Miami.
Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl bound next year. Super Bowl bound. What's going down?
Dallas selects Emmitt Smith, running back from Florida.
Cowboys select Troy Aikman, quarterback, UCLA.
The Dallas Cowboys select DeMarcus Ware.
The Dallas Cowboys select Ezekiel Elliott.
It's one of the premier organizations in the NFL, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Hello, welcome. It is UK Cowboys TV episode number 50. We finally hit the magic 50 mark. It's been quite a season for it. For the first season, we've given this a try. But this week, as it is draft week, we've got a very special with us. We've got the usual couple of Brian and Paul with us. But this week, we have the draft god and scouting demon, if you like, of Dane Brugler on the show. How are we doing, Dane?
Well, you're too kind. I appreciate it. It's good to join you guys, and it's hard to believe we're here. It's draft week already.
Yeah, it soon comes around. Huh? Like football, next thing is like, oh right, there we are. Where did all those weeks of talk of draft disappear to? But just to plug your work in, mate, the Beast, which is the draft guide you write everywhere, that's available now. Is that correct?
That's it. Just have your athletic subscription, and it's free as part of your subscription. So hopefully people have a chance to check it out. And I mean, the easiest sell I can make is if you're interested in the NFL draft at all, 0% chance you'll be disappointed by all the information that's in there.
How many players are in it this year? It seems to get bigger every year.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the struggle, is to know when to just cut it off. But, because I want to get it out there early enough so people can have time to, digest everything that's in there. So I cut it off at 400 profiles, and there's over 1,000 names in there that I actually watched and ranked. So those names are in there, but 400 full profiles.
Wow.
Wow.
And my draft board consists of about 500 players, and I've only done scouting reports for the main few. That seems hard work for me. But anyway, mate, while we've got you on the show, obviously, we're here to talk Cowboys, but I mean, you've done this plenty of times with Brian Broaddus and David Hellman on the draft show. Mm-hmm. We'll just go through, because this is our last show before the draft. We've all done a 7-round mock draft. So what we are looking to do is, before we tell everybody how all our mocks went, we'll get it from the main man himself, how you think each round, or each day at least anyway, the Cowboys should be drafting. So let's get straight into it. Round one. Now, we did an episode a couple of weeks back where we did trade down and trade up options. We all agreement that round one is a brilliant trade down option. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think the only caveat I would say is if CJ Henderson or K'Lavon Chaisson are there at 17, I think they'd stay put and draft, because I think that's the top two players on their realistic draft board. And so if they have a chance at one of those two guys, I think they stay put, take their guy, and they feel good about that. But I think there's a realistic scenario that neither of those two players are still around. So I think that, they'll be listening to trade offers. And if they can pick up an extra day 2 pick, or maybe 2, to trade back a few spots in the first round, they should definitely be listening to that.
Well, I only say that because that is exactly what happened in my draft. So just call me the greatest draft expert.
Yeah, Mike. Okay.
But in your opinion, then, you definitely think that defensive end or cornerback then is the way to go then?
Yeah, and I don't know that's necessarily just those positions, but I think it's the players. Chaisson is a guy with speed off the edge who is still growing into the player he's going to become. I think he's not just speed, but he can convert that speed to power. He can use his length. He can do different things. And so I think that's what the Cowboys would love to add that to their rotation. And then with CJ Henderson, there's not many 6'1", 200-pound athletes who are running 4.3 and can cover like him. Todd Grantham, his defensive coordinator, said he's the best corner he's ever been around, and Grantham's been around a lot of talented players. So, I think it's a situation where I don't think C.J. Henderson's going to fall. But if he's off the board, then I think they look maybe towards A.J. Terrell at Clemson or Trevon Diggs from Alabama.
Okay, and would you say then Christian Fulton isn't an option then?
That, to be honest, that's not a name that I've heard connected to the Cowboys at 17. The main names I've heard: C.J. Henderson, A.J. Terrell, and Trevon Diggs. Those have been the three that kind of I've heard through different NFL sources that the Cowboys have zeroed in on at 17. But you know what? It's the lying season. You never know.
That's very, very true. Go on then, Brian. I'll leave you with the next part of day 2.
No, well, I was actually going to throw it back to Dane. Obviously, what we're hearing a lot over the weekend has been a trade back scenario and possibly picking up AJ Terrell. So, if there was a pros and cons between him and Henderson, is there much of a difference between the two guys?
I think Henderson's the better player. With Terrell, unfortunately, he picked the last 2 games of the year to play his 2 worst games. And just he did not look good, especially in that national title game against Jamar Chase. But is the best receiver in college football. So how much do we really want to ding him for that? But the fact is, if you're 6'1", you run in the low 4.4s. NFL teams, they look at the corner position as a stopwatch position. So if you have those traits, they're going to gamble on you. So I think there's a chance A.J. Terrell could be off the board in the first 16 picks. Would not be surprised at all by that. And C.J. Henderson, we could see 3 corners gone in the top 15 with Jeff Okudah, C.J. Henderson, A.J. Terrell. So it'll be really interesting in that scenario if that's what happens.
Definitely. Okay. And but my only other question I've got for you on day 1 / day 2, mind, is do you think it's been underlooked, the position of linebacker, especially off-ball linebacker?
Quarterback of the defense is what you meant, right?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
The linebacker, I think, is a sneaky need for this team. I don't think it's, and for various reasons. Van Der Esch with the neck injury. I mean, I think he's going to be good to go for August, but you never know longevity-wise. Jalen Smith, I think if the Cowboys could find someone to take that contract, I think they'd be all over that. But I don't think that team is out there. And this is the fact that there's a good chance that they're going to make that permanent switch to the 3-4. And if they do, then Jalen's your Sam, and you need another inside guy with Van Der Esch. So I think linebacker, and all you have to do is look at who the Cowboys have been really focusing on, with their visits and things like that. And there's a lot of linebackers in that group. So they're doing their work on these linebackers for a reason, whether it's Zach Bond. One of my favorites on day 2 is Logan Wilson from Wyoming, who high school corner, moved to linebacker at Wyoming, 4-year starter, 3-year team captain, really productive player. He might be the best form tackler in this class. Really big fan of him. So, yeah, I think linebacker on day 2, and that's how it matches up, I think, with this draft class. That might be the sweet spot. And would they be tempted to go Kenneth Murray in the first round? I mean, you never say never. Maybe that's a trade back, scenario. We talked about if maybe they trade back, maybe Kenneth Murray would make sense. But I think on day 2, there are several interesting linebacker options if they want to wait a little bit.
Okay. Well, I've gone corner in day 2, but seems to be a spot. The one question I've got for you, day 2, mind, if he's available. Now, we had David Hellman on the show, and he told me off. He said not to go near him. But do you agree or disagree that Kyle Duggar from Lenore Ryan would be a good pick for the Cowboys day 2 if he falls that far?
I'm a big fan of Kyle Duggar. I'd be all in favor of that. You have to just get past the decal on the helmet, and if you get past that, because he's a Division II player, then what's not to like about him? I mean, he a lot of teams actually view him as a linebacker, but he has that size. 6'1", 220. He moves really well. He can cover tight ends, can cover backs, can do a little bit of everything. So I'm a big fan of Kyle Duggar and what he could bring to an offense or to a defense as being that versatile big safety. He can cover a little bit. He can play near the box. And so, sign me up for Kyle Duggar if he were to fall a little bit in round 2.
See, I knew there was a reason I liked you. I knew there was a reason. But I mean, the thing that I think that was scaring David Hellman off was, like you say, it's the division he plays in, as well as that he is on the short side for safety as well. His height.
Sure, yeah, but he is long though. I really like about Kyle Duggar. He has 33-inch arms, which that makes some offensive tackles jealous. So I think even though Duggar is a little shorter than you want, he has length, and being Division II, that is something that the Cowboys haven't done a lot of small school guys, especially in the early rounds. Under the watch of Will McClay. So I think that maybe they'd go in a different direction. They seem to like the bigger schools, but at the same time, he's a good player that shouldn't be overlooked.
Okay. Paul, do you want to ask about your boy for the second round, mate?
Yeah. This is a bit out of the cuff one, but what do you think about Antoine Winfield for Minnesota?
Yeah, and there's so much to like about him. He's a ball hawk. He's a smart player. There's a lot to like about him, and I think he's going to make
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to make plays at the next level, but I think he's also going to give up plays because he's a smaller guy, and it's tough to get past that. There's no way you can just overlook the fact that he's 5'9". He's got short arms. Just mentioned Duggar having 33-inch arms. Antoine Winfield has 30-inch arms. I mean, that 3 inches is 3 inches, but that can mean a lot. That can be the difference between a passing completion and a touchdown. So it's something that if you can, you have to be comfortable with his size. And I think he might even be best as like a nickel back because of his size. And so you use him as a kind of a blend of a safety corner with his ball hawking skills, his instincts. He's a very good tackler, but you kind of have to try to hide the size a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. And where would you say, given that there are so many wide receivers that are just phenomenal in this draft, where is you talk about sweet spots? Where's the sweet spot for wide receiver for the Cowboys in this draft?
I think early on day 3, so 4th, 5th round, because when you look at it, there's going to be second round receivers drafted in the 3rd round receivers drafted in the 4th, and then so on, because there's too many guys, and there's not enough teams that have landing spots for these receivers. So if they're patient and they wait until round 4, round 5, they could get some excellent value at that point. Like a James Prochet from SMU, big fan of his. There's plenty of day 3 options that will present excellent value at that point.
Yeah, and even the longer guys like Devin Duvernay. I know we got some Texas fans in the house, so
there you go.
I think in terms of say slot guy, Prochet seems to be the name that we're hearing a lot. But then for, as I say, a Texas guy like myself, I think Johnson or Duvernay could be those guys either. Would they be available in round 4, or would they be gone at that stage?
It's tough. I think Duvernay could sneak into that top 100 in a 3rd round, but I think he might. There's a good chance he could still be there in round 4, just because of everything we've been talking about. There are just so many quality receivers that, you factor in, say Devin Duvernay's the 19th, 20th best receiver. How many actually go in the first 3 rounds? Maybe 15, 16. And that would be half the NFL drafting a receiver in the first 3 rounds. So there's always a chance that he could fall a little bit to the 4th round. That's exactly what I'm talking about with, in normal years, I think Duvernay and Prochet, they're both 3rd round guys, but in this year's draft, it's more 4th round, and Prochet, he could even slip to the 5th. So Prochet, one of the best ball skills in this draft. Duvernay, I mean, he's so much fun. He's almost an extension of the run game because he'll do a lot of screens, a lot of underneath stuff. You're just trying to get the ball in his hands and let him create after the catch, because he runs like a running back. He'll break tackles. He has speed. So there's a lot of value with the Duvernay, especially if you get him in the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the positions that snuck up on the Cowboys this season is inside offensive line. Is there a sweet spot? Again, we're talking about this, or is there anyone in particular you think fits for the Cowboys, regardless of round? I know, obviously, if you want to talk tackle, I mean, that we all know where that would go. It's got to be the first 4, otherwise the rest are all developmental tackles. But I mean, is there anyone on the inside offensive line you think the Cowboys should be aiming for?
I think that this class, this interior offensive line class, there's not a obvious 1st round guy. There's not that obvious guard or center that should go in the 1st. Cesar Ruiz, there's a lot of chatter about maybe him ending up in Dallas. I'd be a little surprised if that happened. Maybe in a trade back scenario, that's possible. But I don't think they draft him at 17, and I don't think he's going to be around when they pick in the 2nd. So I think that if they wait 3rd round, 4th round, I think that's a direction they could go. If it's hard to put a exact pin on which of these centers they would really like, and do they feel like they need to go center? Because they drafted McGovern last year from Penn State, and do they view him as the center of the future? And if that's the case, then maybe they're looking for a guard, or maybe they're looking for another interchangeable guy that can play both center and guard to give them a little versatility. So that's always a possibility. So I don't know if there's an exact guy that I think that at least I've heard in connection with the Cowboys, but it's certainly a position that they need to think long and hard about at certain points of the draft.
Definitely. Go on, you got something there, Paul?
Yeah, I've actually got written down 2 players potentially for the 3rd round is Lloyd Cushenberry and John Simpson. John Simpson for Clemson is guard. He's left-sided, and from looking at the footage, he can actually take, especially if he's running like a run plays where they're pulling the guard and the tackle. He's definitely a devastating force, that's for sure, and something we kind of need at the moment to help just the right side from doing it all the time,
Yeah.
So,
he's a good player. He's a really good player, and Dabo Sweeney talks really highly of him as just being that road grader. Is going to win with power. He's a high school wrestler. So there's a lot to like about Simpson. And
the other one was Lloyd Cushenberry from LSU as well. That's the other one I had down as well.
Yeah, and I actually have him as my top center. And
really?
I think he might be around in for round 2 for the Cowboys. I think that's a direction they could possibly look at. He's all the intangibles you want. He's a 2-year starter. Rarely left the field, and you think about how many big-time players were on that LSU team that won the national title. Lloyd Cushenberry actually won the team MVP honors for the 2019 season. So it says something about Cushenberry, how his teammates felt about him, how the coaches felt about him, and how much he actually meant to that championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that this is about all the time that we've got with you, Dane. So we'll just finish on one question for you to leave with so you can carry on with the rest of your day there. Who have you got as your tight end 1, Troutman or Hopkins?
I have Troutman. I think from Dayton, he's a small school guy, and another guy where you have to kind of look past the decal on the helmet and just focus on the traits, focus on the talent. And Troutman's a career quarterback who moved to tight end, and he led the team in receiving each of the last 3 years. And I'm a big fan of him moving forward. Now, I don't know that he's a top 50 guy, but he would be my top tight end somewhere early in that round 3 area.
Yeah, that's exactly where we've got him. And funnily enough, he was like, we were talking tight end at the very beginning of the draft show, and Troutman was our tight end 1 from the very beginning.
There you go. There you go. Trust your eyes. That's great.
That's right. They always say never change the board. Your first board is always the most correct.
A lot of times that rings true. No question. You're right.
But I know that's all the time that you've got because we appreciate, this is the very peak of draft season. So we're going to leave you go, mate. But thank you very much for joining us. And we'll definitely have to have you on again, hopefully for a bit longer next time. And we'll catch you at a better time. And obviously, everything going on as well, Dane. We hope that you and the family over there stay safe.
Well, I appreciate it. You guys stay safe as well. And I appreciate you having me on.
No, we appreciate it.
Thanks for doing.
Hello and welcome back. Yeah, we've had part 1 there, as you all saw with Dane Brugler giving us a rundown of his opinion. So we've all done a 7-round mock draft today. Well, I say today, over the weekend. Some more controversial than others. And I'm going to put it out there right now as well. Some more correct than others. So, yeah, that's right. Mine's the most correct. Mine is the most correct. I'm not out there.
Do you want a medal with that?
Yes.
So the scout is really rubbing off now, isn't it? I know more than you guys. So, yes, we will get into all of our mock drafts and we'll use a bit from what Dane was saying to see how that works out for us. Now, I have mine all written down. Anyone want to start with, because I will tell you, I have traded, but has anyone else had any trades during their mock draft?
No, none.
No?
Not yet.
No?
Not for the Cowboys, no.
Not for the Cowboys. Okay. Well, let's start off in alphabetical order. So we'll go round 1. Pick number 17. So that's right, Brian. It's you.
Good job. I have that round picked.
First round. How did it look for you? What was the player, and how did it get there?
So when I had pick 17 available to me, I had Jerry Jeudy. I had Caleb on Chason.
Mm-hmm.
I had some guy from a trash school called CD Lamb. And I had the guy who I made the pick. And I think there'll be a collective round of applause with this pick. Cornerback out of Florida, CJ Henderson.
I like it. So let me write these down, because what I'll do, right, is I'll post all of our results up later on. So if I get this written down, so obviously, hold on, let me work it out. It's you, Gray, isn't it? Yeah. I'm terrible. How could I not figure out my alphabet? It's just happened.
I really think we need Mini Travis in for this show.
He's just gone to bed, actually. He did try to open the door, and I tried to shut him off. That's what threw me, all right? That's what threw me, okay? But, yeah, first round then, Gray. How did it fall to you?
Well, it's funny Brian said that because I actually had Judy available as well. Chason had gone to 16. So I ended up with Christian Fulton, cornerback, LSU.
Okay, Christian Fulton.
Now, if that's your selection, I would have hopefully fielded a couple of phone calls because not too convinced there. CJ Henderson is kind of the premier, and then the rest all have their question marks. So, yeah, but it's like you've got to find a trade partner, obviously. So.
Yeah. As they say, it takes two to tango. But I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Christian Fulton pick. The issue being is obviously how diverse he can be on a defense. He's fairly limited. But okay, on to you, Paul. Who was your first round pick?
Well, obviously I've done 2 drafts, but I'll go with my original one. At first, I actually had Kayvon Chason and CJ Henderson both available. And it's not so much of a surprise. I went for more need and went with C.J. Henderson.
Okay, so that's the second C.J. Henderson.
Yes.
Okay. Now, for myself, I actually landed on quite a nifty little number where I traded back. And I traded back with the Jags, and I still managed to get a defensive end, Caleb on Chasen. So we got an extra second-round pick and still got Chase on.
That would have been, if that happened in a real life scenario, that would have been great, because that means, like, think about the salary cap as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that actually, you know, I've got it written down. And in my draft, there was 19 trades. The only trade we were involved in was in the first round. We got the Jags second round pick as well. So I've got the extra pick in the second round.
Yeah.
And then we got a pick in the year after. And the Jags, they got twitchy, and they were afraid we were going to take a safety off the board, and they traded with us to get Grant Delpit.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to round 2. I know I got 2, so I'll do me last. So we'll go to you, Brian.
Yeah.
Who was your second round pick?
I got wiped out here in terms of need, so I had to go to a little bit down the list of players available, because there was a lot of guys at positions we weren't looking for. So my second round pick is safety out of LSU, Grant Delpit.
Okay. And I think, to be honest with you, like, I think perhaps for both Xavier McKinney and Grant Delpit, I know there was a lot of talk at the start of the season about them. I think round 2 is the place to take them, to be honest with you. I don't know what you all agree. If you're all in the same boat there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right then. Graham, who was your round 2 pick?
So at this point, I had a couple of linebackers. I had a couple of wide receivers. Just giving you a couple, for instance, I could have had Pittman,
Nice.
Edwards-Helaire, Lewis, Terrell Lewis, edge rusher. We could beef up the linebacker core with Brooks or Gay, but I actually went for wide receiver at Penn State, KJ Hamler.
Nice.
Okay.
And a guy as well who can fit a need on special teams as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I know a lot of people say, oh, well, Tony Pollard can take that role, but why get your running back in a position, or backup running back in a position where you can get hurt and you can fill it with somebody else?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I do like that pick. He is a nifty little. He is short and he's limited in what he can do as a receiver, but he's still, in this draft class, when you say how good the wide receivers are and he's near the top, should tell everything about how skillful he is.
I mean, it was particularly the slot that I thought. I mean, if you're gonna give $19-20 million a year, try and give him a bit of help as well.
Yeah.
So...
Definitely, I'm with you on that pick. So, what about you then, Paul? Where have you gone? Ooh. One moment. I think we may have lost Paul, have we?
Dude.
Wait. He's come back. He's coming back.
There he is.
He's back.
Did just disconnect there?
You dropped out slightly, mate.
Oh no.
You're all right.
Sorry,
You're
guys.
all right. Don't worry. But we was just saying, who would be your round 2 pick? Did you trade up or did you stay where you are?
I stayed where I am, and I had options, several options. I had Delpit, I had Duggar, and I had the one I actually kind of been BBC News there.
What's happened?
I don't know. I kind of went a wee bit out of the window, and I kind of mentioned it earlier before. I asked Dane earlier what his thoughts were about this player, and I went with
Antoine Winfield
Jr.
Winfield Jr.
from Minnesota.
Yes.
Safety.
So, I mean, it's definitely Is he coming back? Oh dear.
That just happened again?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Were you just talking and we missed everything?
Oh God. What bit did you miss?
You took Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yes, I took Anton Winfield, yeah. Even though in my other draft, I ended up getting Kyle Duggar.
Yes. Well, funnily enough, I had 2 second-round picks. With my first round pick at number 42, which was the Jags pick, I took Noah Igbine.
Very solid choice.
Yeah, the cornerback. Yep.
So
absolutely.
So we managed with the trade back to get our defensive end for the defensive line and a cornerback. With the Cowboys pick at number 51, we managed to get safety Kyle Duggar from Lenore Ryan.
See, that is a pretty solid. Yeah, if that was to happen, I'd be very happy with that.
At this stage, you can imagine when it got to this point, I was like, "Oh, holy crap!"
Yeah, day one. For day 1 and 2, absolutely.
Yeah, you would be jumping up and down. But we'll go back in reverse order. So we'll go back to you, Paul.
Yes.
Obviously, we're into round 3. So this is where I got a very sneaky pick. And I took a certain Graham's advice. But we'll go with you first, Paul. Who did you take in round 3?
So, at this position, obviously I'm looking more towards what do we really need at the moment. And obviously we were talking about in previous shows inside offensive linemen.
Yes.
So, and I had 2 options. There's Lloyd Cushenberry from LSU and John Simpson from Clemson, guard. Obviously Cushenberry is a centre, and where Dane earlier in the show was talking about he's played 2 full seasons, well-seasoned veteran in college football now. He's pretty much almost pro-ready, you could say.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Whereas John Simpson, he is an actual force to be reckoned with. So for this pick, I decided to go with John Simpson.
Okay.
I
like it.
Obviously we still got Joe Looney. I still feel as though left guard is a much more bigger need, really.
Okay. For me, on my particular board, I got Simpson a bit lower down. So I would have taken him a bit later. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with the pick because at the end of the day, like you say, we do need interior offensive lineman. So it is a very big position to need. But for you, Graham, who was your round 3 pick?
For round 3, I've said on previous shows that with our QB situation the way it is, you kind of go, right, okay, that's not too clever here. So I thought, hang on a minute, Jacob Easton's still on there. And he went to the Raiders 2 picks before.
Okay.
And I thought, that's silly because not
they've
only
got Mariota.
They've only just spent X million on Mariota. So I thought, right, okay, fair enough. So I ended up with Terrell Burgess, safety out of Utah.
I like it.
Yep.
He seems to be that he can be a little bit soft in man, but I think the athleticism's there. He's got quick acceleration and he can tackle as well. So not necessarily a starter, obviously, but you kind of have to build a bit of depth there with the Clinton Dix situation.
Yeah, and funnily enough, it is. I've seen on a couple of articles now. Burgess is a name that's popped up, where people have mentioned him. So there could be something in that, mate. But for you, Brian, who have you gone for in day 3?
Well, again, I nearly got wiped out at this position. I was left with a lot of choices at tight end and wide receiver. And lo and behold, and I doubt the surprise of anyone who's watched this show, I went with a home pick, Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Texas. Fuck 'em.
Again, the only thing I would have against that pick is how early it is. I would probably wait another round to take that sort of player.
As I say, just the way the board fell, there wasn't anyone there at a position of need, and I thought it was too early to take a tight end, so I went with we do need a slot receiver, and Duvernay has played a lot of that in Texas, and he has hands like glue. The ball just sticks. He keeps hold of it.
He is he is a bad ball catcher specialist.
Yeah.
It is something he specializes in. So I mean, at the end of the day, you know what you're talking about there is, you know, we can all say, oh, that's early, but if he's your guy and you want to take him there, he's your guy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's how these things go. But funny you talk tight end, and Graham will probably know by my cryptic clues I was leaving earlier. My pick actually became Adam Troutman.
Yes.
And
love it. I love it. Love that.
Yeah, and we did speak to Dane about who was his tight end one, and he mentioned Adam Troutman, and I only asked that because I picked him, so I was trying to find out if that was a good pick or not. But yeah, and I mean, day 3 is definitely the place if you're going to take tight end, is where you would go. And for me, Troutman is my tight end one.
Yeah.
And it's quite far as well. Between him and Hopkins, who's my tight end too, they're quite far apart. There's a lot of picks between. Would you be happy with that, Paul? You look somewhere in between. You don't like it, do you?
No, I don't like it.
Why is that?
Considering we've already gave Jarwin a good contract and Schultz is still in the squad, it just seems like a wasted pick in my opinion. I know he's still probably a good player in that, but how would you rotate it in? What type of offense are we going to be running? All that type of stuff. I still think there's more higher need for certain other positions, so that's why I kind of went the direction I went.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like I'd throw in there. I'd agree with Paul. Like Troutman went 5 picks behind me, but I felt slot receiver was more of a need than a tight end because Jarwin is your one, Schultz can be your receiving, and then Blake Bell is your inline. So where do you fit in someone with your third pick? Your third pick or your third round pick should be a situational player, possible starter. So I just didn't feel there was starting room for a tight end there.
Nah, I got him starting.
Yeah.
I got him starting in 2 tight end sets. Okay. So let's go back round the house again then. Brian, round 4, mate. Who have you got?
So round 4, I actually managed to make a trade.
Oh.
Or sorry, I had a trade offered to me by the Arizona Cardinals. So they offered me their pick 425, and to make up the difference, they were giving me their 6th round pick. So they gave me 623.
Okay.
So when I made that pick, I then had available to me, I had some safeties, some tight ends, but I double dipped because looking towards next year, we are going to be in a situation where we have a lot of free agents at cornerback. So I double dipped and picked a very famous cornerback out of Nebraska named Lamar Jackson.
Ah, I like it. Okay.
Yeah, the good showing at the combine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Is that what stuck in your mind when you were making that pick? Then was it? I was going to, Paul beat me to the punch there. The combine. A good combine, but also the fact that we have next year, we have both Cheeto and Jordan Lewis coming out of contract. Mm-hmm. So you're giving Jackson 1 year in the system to see how he goes. Your 4th round pick again shouldn't be a guaranteed starter, but should be someone who's sitting behind on the learning tree. Yeah, I mean, what you can't forget is how many, especially when it comes to the Cowboys, how many of these picks in day 3 end up becoming full-time starters. We see so many times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about you then? Sorry. Who did you pick? I can write it down.
Lamar Jackson, cornerback, Nebraska.
I didn't write it down. So who would you have taken then, or who did you take in your mock draft, Paul, for round 4?
So obviously, I picked guard for the third round, which was John Simpson, and I decided to not go for Lloyd Cushenberry. I was very surprised when the list generated. I still had a good centre lined up there, so I thought, you know what, it's too good for a fourth round because he's actually getting projected to go higher now. It's Tyler, I can't put it, Tyler Biad's centre from Wisconsin. Travis 2.0.
Yeah.
So I thought for a fourth round, I thought, you know what, that is a good solid pick for fourth round.
Yeah,
so
I'm totally with you there. Like in the fourth, day 4 is definitely a place where I would start taking an interior offensive line.
Yeah. But on the other draft I've got, I went for linebacker Evan Weaver from California.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I would probably prefer your first pick.
Yeah. No, I do prefer this one. It's just how things kind of worked out in the draft order. I was like, oh my god, like, because other than that, it was just like wide receivers, and it's like, yeah, there's some good ones, but I thought it's like, nah, this could potentially be something more sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, and especially with offensive linemen, it's always good to have a good rotation, get them all on the same playing level.
Definitely. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with taking as many offensive linemen in draft. I always say that,
exactly.
You need to try and get, although I'm saying that, I can eat my own words here. Oh, I did take one. Okay. Yeah, I always say that if I had it my way, if I was GM every year, I would, in my first 3 picks, I would always take an offensive lineman, no matter what. No matter what.
Yeah.
Because
because when you think about it, you're basically not repairing. You're always kind of like not upgrading, but you're always kind of like fueling the fire every year. Like, 'cause if you take that 1 year out, it could be like, it takes us one injury and no one could fill in.
It's like you ask any NFL team, NFL or college, right? You ask any of them, they'll say, what do you wish you had more of and talent? They'll always say offensive line.
O-line.
Yeah. We wish we had more offensive linemen that could play. And all you're doing is, by stocking up, you're always going to make sure you're going to have the best offensive line. And look what happened with Tony Romo. Tony Romo with a bad offensive line, Tony Romo with a good offensive line.
Yeah.
There's Tony Romo getting blasted and broken backs and spleens and
punctured lung.
Yeah, punctured lung, but still played. And then you've got Tony Romo with a good offensive line making the playoffs. It is a foundation. It's the foundation. But for you, Graham, who did you take in the 4th round?
Well, actually, you kind of stole a bit of my thunder there with John Simpson, because I ended up with John Simpson in the 4th. Just like, because it's funny, as much as I like Troutman, Paul's words were actually in my head at the time of the pick, because I thought, do we supplement tight end, or do we take a need in interior offensive linemen? So I ended up with John Simpson and let Troutman go.
That would
ideally,
be some steal.
Oh yeah, ideally I would. I mean, to my mind, Ruiz is the best interior, but I don't know if I was praying he would fall to us in the 2nd round, but it didn't happen. So you kind of have to think on your feet, and to get John Simpson there, I thought, okay, let's do it. We'll just Troutman will have a good career, but we need to look after ourselves. So I ended up with John Simpson.
Yeah, can't argue. I mean,
very solid pick.
Yeah, a guy we've already spoken about.
Very solid.
And then for myself, I took wide receiver Lynn Bowden from Kentucky. Yeah. This is a guy who is probably the best athlete in this draft. Honestly, go if you want to YouTube him later. I would suggest doing it and look at him. You will though see, which is unfortunate, which is why he can be taken this far into day 3. His development was stunted Because what actually happened in Kentucky is they had no quarterback. So they actually they had to put Lynn Bowden. They had to put Lynn Bowden in, a wide receiver in as quarterback because he played quarterback in high school. Yeah. So you people will say, oh, he's got stunted development. There's a lot of issues because he had to play quarterback. But if you just look at the plays where he did play wide receiver, you see a guy with traits that you can use, mainly a slot guy, which is why I took him, because then that frees up you two guys on the outside. But we'll go back round. Paul, it's on you. Round 5, who did you take?
Right, this is where I started kind of panicking a little bit, and
never panic.
No, because at this point I had to really kind of look into a couple of players, and there's a few that did kind of stand out, and at the point I was like, no, like, do we really need it? And I thought maybe potentially looking to trade down just a couple of places now, but obviously with the app that I was using wasn't able to do it, so I kind of simulated it in my own mind. So the names I had available to me at the time was Troy Pride Jr. and Marcus Bailey. So but I decided to go against Marcus Bailey because of the injuries before, 2 ACLs. Like he like, other than that, I if he was to fall later down, I would have drafted him. But what I decided to do, like, just simulate in my own head, traded down and ended up getting wide receiver Courtney Davis from Texas A&M.
Yeah, like a very tall, very rangy.
And can play the slot.
The slot. This guy is a red zone production machine.
Exactly, and it's exactly why I drafted him.
This guy can. He does round off his routes at the top of his stem, which is why he's not very good in long open field production. But in the red zone, and as the field gets shorter, he seems to become more and more effective. He's quite a tall guy as well.
He's very tall for a slot receiver.
Yeah. Let me check. I don't know exactly. Let me see if I can find him. But he is quite tall for his position. Right, here we go. He is 6'3". So for a slot guy, but and 200 pounds, so he's lanky. But yeah, I do like the pick. And what was funny is he was always the like if they were running out of plans, and Kellen Mond was like, well, what do I do? It was just like, just throw it over there, throw it his way, and that was like plan B. Like, oh, that plan's falling apart. Right, we'll just throw it that direction and see what he does. And it did work. And they actually won games by doing that game plan. But
even just looking even at his stats, I mean, it in terms of like the game time, is like for being a slot receiver, he didn't really have much really game time when you think of it, but he still managed to produce over 600 yards just with 54 catches. And that's still fairly decent considering the game time he's had.
Yeah, and when you look, right, not a lot of that is yak. A lot of that is able to separate in a short space.
Yeah.
And then making use of just them short yards. So, it is quite an effective, he is an effective player in the short zone, definitely.
And that's definitely something that we've kind of lacked. We've always kind of seemed to kind of go more for deep route rather than going for the short slots.
Yeah.
Like, short passes.
When you think, that as well was where Jason Witten made some money.
Made the name.
Red zone, short area, and we've lost that now. So it does fill a need, definitely. Yeah. It almost eliminates the need for tight end in that sense, in a roundabout way, not completely, because you still need to block. But Graham, what have we got going in the 5th? Who did you have?
Right, okay, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you know the story of this guy. I will clarify by saying I didn't select him. But there's a Shea O'Grady ring any bells with you guys? He was a tight end for Arkansas.
Okay.
And he got binned halfway through the season. he's listed as on NFL.com. He's listed as a priority free agent. But interestingly enough, the Draft Network have given him 4 stars out of 5. And I just thought it was. I'm only bringing it up, but I just thought it was an interesting kind of thing where we are one of the teams to give players second chances. And if you're going to have 4 stars out of 5 on the Draft Network, you must know what you're doing. But I just wonder if teams aren't willing to give him any kind of guaranteed money because obviously Arkansas let him go. So that was one of the options there. The others were Terrence Steele, offensive tackle out of Texas Tech. I also had the chance of Keith Ismail.
Oh, yeah.
Interior, again, bulking up, but I thought we've already gone there. So we'll see what you guys make of this one. I ended up with Anthony Gordon, quarterback, Washington State.
I like it.
Ooh.
I like it. And this was on our when we did, the quarterback.
Yeah.
So backup quarterback. He was one of the guys that we were all
Neil
nodding our head
mentioned,
about. I think you went away as well, didn't you, Paul? And went to go YouTube to have a look.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just with the Dak situation, you never want to go into another off season with a guy off the street, and Dak's agent knows straight away the Cowboys have 0 other opportunity.
Yeah.
At least if we have an option there,
it's to bring competition in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I mean, what you can't forget with Anthony Gordon is he's still like extremely raw. I mean, there's a lot to take away when you look at it. Like, ooh, that's a bit confusing. So I mean, it's the Pat Mahomes effect. Look, I'm not saying Anthony Gordon's Pat Mahomes, but you sit a guy, you bench him, you let him learn.
Yeah.
You get your quarterback coach on him and start training him up with the arm accuracy and decision making.
Yeah.
You've got a different player.
I mean, straight away you think 5th round. It's a shot in the dark.
Development.
Is he going to win?
Yeah.
Remember,
we did
that year,
did the same with Mike White.
Yeah.
Same situation.
I mean, there was that year Washington took RG3 and Cousins in the same draft, and Cousins is the only one still playing. I think Cousins went 4th round.
Yeah,
so you find diamonds in the rough. So if they can let Gordon
crazy to think that.
Year, who knows?
That is why when you think, and then you say that Cousins, he's still in the league, but he's even playing for Washington.
Yeah.
They drafted
He's all about that money.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money. Very true.
Yeah.
So, what about you then, Bri? Give me a 5th.
The first pick I had in the 5th round, I really thought Paul was going to steal my thunder. I really did. So I had an awful lot of cornerbacks available to me. After taking 2 previously, I said I wasn't going to go with a triple dip. So I had one linebacker available to me, a man with 2 surgically repaired knees, which are never going to break again. Yeah. And my pick was Marcus Bailey, linebacker out of Purdue. Guy who absolutely knows how to lay the wood.
Yeah.
He's a tackling machine. I said in the 5th round, not that you're taking proper shots in the dark, but it's a need. We need extra linebackers in there, and we want secure tacklers as well. So I thought he was too good to pass up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a guy you mentioned, Paul. So talk about it. Yeah. Talk about that then.
Yeah. I mean, like Brian said, that he's got the ability to make turnovers. That's one thing as well.
Yeah.
And he can hit. He can hit.
Yeah.
And from looking at what people have said about him as well, like he does lack athleticism, but he makes up for it with his eye.
Yeah.
It's his IQ.
It's his IQ, and it was the same with Sean Lee. He's got good football IQ. But obviously the biggest question mark about Bailey is the ACLs. He's torn it twice.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's how do we can he stay fit? Is he going to have to wrap it up? It's one of those ones. But for 5th round, it could be potentially. We did the same with Jalen Smith a couple of years ago, 2nd round.
We did the same with Sean Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So if we did go for Marcus Bailey, I would be very happy. But at the same time, I'd still be kind of like, make sure we went for the same type of thing that Jalen did.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, sticking with that theme, I had the exact same situation where Marcus Bailey was available to me, and I passed him up purely on the basis of injury history. So I took the next guy down with less of an injury history. He did have a torn bicep, so I took Wake Forest's Justin Snard.
Yeah.
This is a guy who is a will linebacker. He'll play will, which obviously is Sean Lee's wheelhouse. I know that he got put to Sam last year, but you could say Sean Lee is a will. This is what this guy can play. Wake Forest. So from the Demon Deacons, in my round, we took Justin Stannard. Stannard.
Yeah, like I've seen his name reach the 6th round quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
I mean,
good pick.
In there, I've already written it down. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go on to you, Gray. What was your 7th round or your next pick? I do apologize.
Do we not have 5th round pick? Second 5th round pick?
Yeah, I know. I got it wrong. Got it wrong. Go with your next pick. Your next 5th rounder.
Minor heart attack.
Yeah. Oh no, we've got it all wrong.
Right. Okay. Well, prior to my selection, there was a run on. Just to give you guys to draw a picture, there was a run on wide receiver. So there was Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, Duvernay. Yeah.
Tyler Johnson and James Proche.
Prochet.
Prochet. So I ended up with Khalil Davis. Interior defensive line. I know we've bulked up, but you can never have too many. And like we said at the start of the show, built in the trenches. So I've managed to add on O and D, and we'll see what these guys, they're hit or miss. By the time we get to this, there's a reason they're not going top 10, obviously. So
what you got to remember is once you get into day 3, you're looking at two things really. You're looking at traits or production. Yes, what you're looking. So you're looking for a trait or a certain type of level of production. So you can't go wrong with it.
I think that McCoy and Poe are good, but particularly with McCoy, time is not on their side. You can bring somebody in and not necessarily have it as a need. If we can develop somebody like Davis, because obviously it's a need, or it was a need area until we spent on free agency, and it would be nice to have a bit of depth there for a change.
Yeah, definitely. All right then. So what about you then, Brian? What was your next 5th round pick?
So my next 5th round pick, defensive lineman out of the Ohio State. We had Devon Hamilton. Too good of a value to pass up. Again, we need some depth at that defensive line. Obviously, that person is not coming in to be a starter. Has a couple of traits there, and can learn from two of the past masters in Poe and McCoy.
Yeah, and you're gonna get hopefully develop into something there. So I like that pick. Nothing wrong with that at this stage. So what about you then, Paul? Who are you going for in your second 5th round pick?
My second one, Graham already may have mentioned, was Khalil. Yeah, but I did have the option between him and Benito Jones. Yeah. So I was it's like, you know what? I figured it was more safer than going with Khalil. He has more size.
Yeah.
So, and I just felt like you guys were just talking about there. It's like he could easily be more coached up to kind of fit with like Poe and McCoy.
Yeah.
So I think that it'd definitely be something that McCarthy would be looking for in terms of having that bigger size interior defensive lineman.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's who you took, was it?
Yes.
Alrighty. All right, and then my pick actually went back to wide receiver. I managed to get Liberty's wide receiver, Antonio Gandy-Golden.
Nice choice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's probably a little bit more than... Go on. Well.
No, just remind you I have a 6th-round pick as well.
Yes, yeah, I've got one. I have another pick as well. So go on then. What was your next pick then, Bri? Anybody? Have you all both got? Everyone got another pick?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay, we'll keep going.
Mine was based on, but I'll let Brian go first.
Yeah, go on then, Bri.
So I'm following in Graham's lead in the 6th round. I said we picked up a free pick. I just said I'm going to go for a shot in the dark. I'm going to try and save us some money on the cap as well. Seeing as we've a backup quarterback sitting there who's going to earn $2 million this season, I said I'm going to save us $1.5 million. I took Nate Stanley, quarterback out of Iowa.
Nice.
Again, nice trait, good size, solid production. I think he was 2.5, 3 year starter with Iowa. I decided, it was better. It was a good fit.
I think actually we mentioned him in the show.
Yeah, we did. And I think he was the guy I mentioned in the 6th or 7th round we might take, or as a potential free agent.
It's not. I can go with that. Okay then. So what about you then, Greg? What was your final pick?
I'll be honest. my knowledge got a little bit thin at this point, and I ended up with Kindle Vildor.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Have I stolen some thunder there, Paul?
Yeah, no.
I'm going to say it, you bastard.
You could break something as well.
I threw my phone away.
Is that who you took then, Paul, as well?
Well, this was the 6th round. I managed to get when I was scenarioing when I traded down from the 5th, I had in our 6th round, just imagining, and I ended up getting Kindle Vildor from Georgia Southern. He's just a hard-hitting cornerback, and he's got some good tracking as well. He sticks to his wide receivers, but the only thing I would worry about him, he could probably cause more interceptions than he can get interceptions, no problem there, but it's the way he goes to some players, he could probably cause a lot more pass interference calls. He's probably like that inexperience of because the college level is completely different. So, but that's who I went for.
Yeah, so you both had the same guy. That's very interesting.
Great mind.
Yeah.
Fools seldom differ.
Yeah, it's Scottish. It's the Scottish thing.
Yeah, we give him that one. The Scottish state of mind.
Go back on your last pick, Brian. That's an interesting point on the salary cap because you'd argue that 4/5. See if 4/5 of the teams in the NFL, if they lose a starting quarterback, the season's over anyway. So it doesn't really, you're going to bring it. It's going to be a developmental guy anyway. So if you can trim off some of that $2 million, then why wouldn't?
Well, look at Jacksonville with Minshew.
Yeah. All right. So it's my final pick. And my final pick was San Diego State's interior offensive lineman that you already mentioned, Gray, Keith Ismail.
Good pick.
Yeah. So that
definitely
finishes that off. Paul. Go on.
I've got one. This is now actually my 7th round now. Originally, and I thought, you know what, this would be actually quite a no bad wee pick at all. Clay Johnston from Baylor, linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah.
7th round.
Tell us about that then.
Right. So looking at his footage, he is a blitz machine, especially for the inside gap, and not just that. If he was to given the proper coaching, in rotation, get those immediate reps. He could probably definitely do a good job filling in for likes of Lee, for likes of Jalen, for likes of Leighton. So I think he would definitely be a good depth linebacker that can make some good contribution to the team.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, basically that wraps up. Did
Hold on,
any
don't forget.
go on.
Oh, Brian still got his 7th, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have my 7th rounder
You
and a
traded
name
it,
a name I couldn't believe fell to me.
Go on then.
Defensive lineman from Michigan State, Raekwon Williams.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Every mock I'm seeing, he kept dropping to me in the 7th. It's too good a value to pass up. Again, you're doing the same as I did with Davon Hamilton. You're just putting them sitting at the learning tree under McCoy and Poe, and see what you've got. You know, it's in the 7th round. It's a shot to nothing. Why not?
But here's something that's quite interesting, right? With all of our mock drafts, right, you're the only one that drafted. Let me check. You're the only one that drafted an interior defensive lineman.
Twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just check.
No,
I didn't. I take Davis.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So
The guy
so
took
did that.
Khalil Davis. Yeah.
So did that.
So did Paul.
Yeah. Okay, so I take that back then.
The only ones I didn't draft is wide receiver. No, I did draft a wide receiver. Sorry, it was tight end and quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 quarterbacks going off. I mean, we got 2 trades, one in the first, one at the end, with Brian. A lot of, but when you look at it, we've got, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. So out of so there's 7, 14, 21, 28 picks. 11 of them were defensive backs.
Yeah.
So there's a pattern.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at mine in particular. You know, 3 offensive players. One won't see the field, and the rest is all D.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's but again, that's where McCarthy thrives. McCarthy will get the best out of the O and supplement with D.
All right then. Well, I mean, that wraps up this particular show. We do have, which I am going to advertise tonight, that we are doing a live show. The very first time UK Cowboys, no, the second time actually, UK Cowboys TV is going live. It's going to be during the draft. We are looking to get as much content, maybe try and sprinkle some special guests to come in and quickly chat with us, because they were all going to be doing their own thing as well, of course. So we've got all that going on. Brew the coffee pot, get your crisps, get your snacks, get your beer, get your wine. We are all in it together. The only thing I am going to say is, before we go, Brian, read off your 7-round mock draft for us.
Pick 117, CJ Henderson, cornerback, Florida. Pick 219, Grant Delpit, safety, LSU. Pick 318, Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Texas. Pick 425, Lamar Jackson, cornerback, Nebraska. Pick 518, Marcus Bailey, linebacker, Purdue. 533, Davon Hamilton, defensive line, D, Ohio State. 623, Nate Stanley, quarterback, Iowa. And 717, Raekwon Williams, defensive line, Michigan State.
All right, Graham, give us yours.
With the 17th pick in the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Christian Fulton, cornerback, LSU.
I like it.
At 51, KJ Hamler, wide receiver out of Penn State. 82 in the 3rd round, we have Terrell Burgess, safety from Utah. 123, John Simpson, interior offense, Clemson. 164, we have Anthony Gordon, quarterback out of Washington State. 179, we have Khalil Davis, interior defensive line, Nebraska. And bringing the draft to a close, we have 231, Kendall Valor, cornerback out of Georgia Southern.
All right, and Paul, give us yours, mate.
Okay, round 1, pick 17, I went for C.J. Henderson. Pick 8, second round, number 81, I went with Anton Winfield, safety. Third round, I went with John Simpson, guard out of Clemson.
Yeah.
Fourth round, I went with Tyler Bayads, center of Wisconsin. And obviously, this is the simulated one I've made in my mind. I traded down a few places in the fifth round, so I'm just going to say fifth round. Within the fifth round, I drafted Courtney Davis from Texas A&M, wide receiver. In the sixth round, I have Khalil Davis. And also also Kendall Fielder from Jordan Silverman in the sixth round. Based on that mock-up draft I did. And finally, in the seventh round, Clay Johnston, linebacker, Baylor.
Lovely. Oh, you had the extra pick, of course. Sorry, I forgot to ask you about that one. I do apologise. Let me write that down. All right, then. And then for my draft, we had, in the first round, in the trade down with the Jags, we still managed to get Caleb Chase on. We had, obviously, the Jags' 42nd pick in the draft. In round 2, we took cornerback Noah Igbine. Then with our draft, later on in 51st, we had safety Kyle Duggar from Lenoir-Rhyne. In the third round, we had Adam Troutman, tight end. In the fourth, we took wide receiver Lynn Bowden. In the fifth, we had linebacker Justin Snard and wide receiver Antonio Gandy-Golden. And with the final pick, interior offensive lineman Keith Ismail. So, yeah, if you've got a preference of which particular mock draft you like, let us know. That's why we just run through. Obviously, mine is going to be the best. So, if you don't want to say that, then that's fine. We all know what you're all thinking out there. Paul is.
I'm just going to be the quiet one and not say anything.
You must see what it's like when we play fantasy football. I'm always the gobshite in that. I just find it quite funny. A bit of trash talk is always a bit of fun, isn't it? Even though I always end up doing terribly, but I don't mind. But yes, thank you very much.
Every season of fantasy football telling us about how great his team is, and he never gets to the final.
You'll see. This next year, I will be the winner and declare champion, and you can all suck it. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Especially, go on, Paul. You got something to add there, mate? I can see you going.
I was just going to say, just also to give a shout out to our sponsor, Cowboys Experience.
Yeah, of course, can't forget that. And Barry Griffiths, spoken to him today. He's doing great over there. Thank you very much, Barry. And yeah, we can't forget, if you're going to go with anybody in the next season to go watch Cowboys, make sure you book it with Cowboys Experience. Make sure you use the code UK Cowboys to get the gift package and the special deal that they're offering with that. And obviously, we'd like to see some photos when you go. We'll post them up for you whenever anybody goes. Give you a big thumbs up for that. And also, make sure to follow us. Join us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, all the others. Yeah.
Go on MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace, which will be coming up soon. But whatever you do, guys, make sure you join us on Thursday night. Send us in pictures as we're going along of you with your coffee, your caffeine, your Red Bull, whatever's got going on over there. And we'll speak to you as well, of course, while it's going on. So join us, join in the fun, and we'll see you all then. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you again.
See you next time.
See ya.
Stay phenomenal.
Mr. Get me and skill, I don't need slow.